guys, welcome back. We're Inflatable Boat Pro and I'm Jeff, and today we're going to review the ZAR ZAR ZF-5 Tender. This is by far and away my favorite tender there is. ZAR is a company, if you don't know them, they're out of Italy, a little small village called Mata, Visconti, which is just outside of Milan. They're one of the oldest rib builders in the world. They've been building boats for pushing 50 years now. So the ZAR tender line is in the 50-year time is relatively new for them. I'd say it's probably only about 15 years old at this point. ZAR Fermenti is a shipyard that built recreational ribs all of these years. Here in my market, yacht tenders are the prevailing and dominant purposes and uses for an inflatable boat. So ZAR decided to create a tender line. The tender line is from 11 to 16 feet. That has really now grown in design and style all the way up to the 28-footer. But let's get back to this one, the ZAR ZF-5. So she's 15 feet long. It's got a beam of 7 feet 1 inch. The maximum horsepower is actually 100, but here in the US we only have access to 90s. So they all pretty much get a 90 horsepower. Although I have run the boat quite a few times with a 70, and that does well, particularly the Yamaha 70. Its weight to horsepower ratio is quite nice. But in the Suzuki, we always use the 90. Starting at the back, there is a built-in swim ladder. It's a folding stainless steel. When you want it, flop it out into the water. It's quite a nice ladder. If you'll notice, the ZAR has what I consider to be a true swim platform. A nice flat place to stand and get on and off the boat. That's really the whole purpose of these hatches. There is no other functional reason other than to make a nice flat area as opposed to a bit of a well to step in when you get in the boat. Something else, if you'll notice with the ZAR, the tubes don't go past the hull. Or should I say the hull goes all the way to the end of the tubes. We'll get back to that again in just a few minutes when we talk about the hull. Moving forward, here at the helm seat, there's room for 3 adults to sit. I'm a very big guy, so let's just say 2.5 of me. Here at the helm, in this particular boat, the owner did not request a stereo, but if he had, it would have been a Fusion black box, or now called Apollo Hideaway series, where all of the boat systems can be controlled with the Garmin unit for just a single display for everything. The Suzuki gauge is tied into that. Normally the stereo would be tied into that, and anything else that would be NEMA connected for a nice glass bridge display, so to speak. This is a 9-inch. In the Q Experience, the 10-inch fits. There are a couple other 10 inches out there that will work, but 9 is pretty much as big as the real estate will offer. Their switch panels are quite nice. They're made in-house. High quality switches, high quality breakers. One thing, if you're a ZAR owner and you're watching this and it was never explained to you, the indicator lights here do not indicate that something is on. They indicate a fault. So if you turn a switch on, don't expect to see the light unless there's a problem. Down here, we, just as a dealer, choose to install the battery switch here just so it's easy to get to and you don't have to open any hatches or get into the bilge to get to it. But it's a nice dry storage area. The steering, it's a tilt steering. Really the function of that is ergonomics. So when you're sitting here as a driver, the controls are right where you want them. They're not where you're reaching to get to them. I really like that, especially, like I said, I'm a big guy. My back would hurt after a while if I had to continuously reach. But the steering wheel, using the tilt steering, it brings the steering out quite a bit. It has more of a car feel than a boat feel, which I really like. But for those who do want to stand and drive and find it better like that, you can certainly do that. Obviously, we have a bimini top in this boat, which isn't great for shooting videos, but again, we're here in Florida and I like the shade. What's special about their bimini top is, if you'll notice, it covers almost the entire boat. If the frame were all of this size, when you went to put it away, there would be nowhere to put it. The frame would either go beyond the motor or all the way up to the bow. So they have an ingenious way. Think of a Surehold deck brush. So there's an inner sleeved pole inside a larger pole with a little nipple. So when you want to put this away, you just press the button. These two retract, the front retracts, and the frame follows the contour of the boat, and the bimini top lays here when it's done, so it's in just the right spot to be not in your way. Something else is a feature of this boat. All ZARs are statically self-bailing boats. However, you generally keep the deck scupper in while you're using the boat. Again, I'm a heavy guy, so with just me back here by myself, it's right at the level that it can begin to let a little water in. Generally not a problem, but if I was not in the boat and I pulled the plug and it rained, it would certainly let the water go out of the boat. Moving forward. So in the U.S., we must use EPA compliant fuel tanks and fuel systems. That entails a lot of things, but if you're watching this from Europe, it'll be a little bit different than here. We now have our fuel fills here. The fuel tank is a US made EPA compliant tank with EPA compliant fuel hoses and so on and so on. Typically there's a removable storage box that is here, that is not here at the moment. But that's where your fuel fill would be. Storage. Storage on any boat is always critical, but boy, when you get down to a small boat, how much is that valuable? This entire area here is all storage. They're cushions. They use high-strength Velcro as opposed to the snaps that we all know after one season. They get crusty, rusty, and break off the first time you try to go get them. Storage here. You can probably get a better view of the storage here. Tons amount of storage. Same, the bow opens up and this all intercommunicates. These happen to be long enough to fit a set of skis to give you a sense of what the length and depth is. Something else you'll notice that's quite different about a ZAR is the tubes. They don't go all the way around the bow like a traditional rib would. Even I myself 15 years ago asked, well, why not the tubes in the front? What if I hit something? Turns out that isn't a problem at all. The boat is always going to hit the rub rail, and the rub rail is nice and thick. It is an option from the factory to have a double rub rail, but I have never found it to be necessary. By not having the tubes around the bow, you get a few things. One, you get an anchor locker. What a novel idea. Fantastic. A place to put your anchor that's dedicated just for it. I don't know about you guys, but in a tender, that's just always something that as you come and go from the beach, you're over in the Bahamas, you're down in the Keys, the anchor is just forever in your way. There's sand all in the boat. I really, really love that feature. It also makes a great step to get on and off the boat. If you bow in, you can allow your guest to step off a nice step off to the bow. But to the most important part of why the no tubes, it boils down to the hull. When you have tubes that are 24 inches or 2 feet wide, that means you start the hull 2 feet back. In the ZAR, without those tubes, they can actually start the hull all the way from the bow. And if you remember in the back, we showed that the hull went all the way to the end of the tubes. There's an additional 3 feet of waterline length, the same footprint of boat as another comparable 15-footer. That's massive in terms of performance, economy. You have 3 more feet of boat. If you take measurements of the internal volume from the forward bolster to the back bolster, you need to get to most competing boats' 17-footer to compare in internal volume to this 15-footer. This boat seats 9 people in seats. I just don't know of any other 15-footer that actually seats 9 people in seats with a handrail to hold on to. Performance-wise, because of the ZAR hull, and we'll show you that here in a few moments, the ZAR hull is unique. It has a very, very sharp entry, deep reverse chines. They shed the water down instead of out. That makes it dry. But the most important thing is lift. The reverse chines work in the same function as an airplane wing. The same upward lift causes downward lift. So the boat always gets on plane like this, not like this. And then once you're running, it has a more stable ride rather than dolphining. It's just one of those things that you really have to try to experience. So if you'll take a look at the hull, what I was mentioning before, the entry is a very sharp entry. This is what cuts through the waves and makes it very smooth. It's hard to see in the water without, of course, being on a trailer. The chines are reverse, or strakes, should I say, are reverse strakes. Those are what force the water back down. They act as lifting strakes. So they'll lift the boat up out of the water. For most people's functional enjoyment, though, they shed the water back down instead of out. I just don't know of any other dryer riding boat of the same size than a ZAR hull. All right, so if you'll take a look at the bow as we come in, you get a little better shot of the hull. And the turn radius of this boat with such a sharp degree of dead rise of 24 degrees is absolutely amazing. This boat really does turn on a dime. Now let's get a couple of shots of this thing running in the water. Going along at what I would call a fast idle. We're doing about 1,800 RPMs. We're doing 6 knots. There's only 2 of us in the boat, so we're pretty light, but we are about half full of fuel. So this boat holds 29 gallons of fuel. Again, our tank, if you're in Europe, it'll be a little different. Our tanks are custom made for us here in the US to be EPA compliant. Really, as you're idling along, again, I'm a big guy, but the backrest is nice and comfy. I can really spend all day. I have enough back support. All right, why don't we take this thing for a ride? All right, let's get it on plane. Of course, whenever you get on plane, you always want to start with the motor trimmed down. And I like to give it full throttle, get on plane and then come off. This boat gets on plane incredibly. As I said, there's 2 of us in the boat. We're both sitting in the back now, so it's backloaded. But even with that, this boat hops on plane effortlessly. All right, let's go and see what happens. All right, we're already on plane. I'm gonna slow down and see if I can maintain plane at about 3,000 RPMs. We're doing around 15 knots here on the GPS. Well, let's give it a little more and see what happens. All right, now we're doing about 4,000 RPMs. We're getting 20 knots. Nice smooth ride. I'm going to go ahead and trim up just a little bit. Just trimming up. That gave us an extra 3 knots and an extra 100 RPMs. All right, let's see what full throttle does. All right, that's 6,000 RPMs, 36 knots. There's a little more left in the tank, but we'll be safe and slow it down. All right, guys, thank you again for watching our channel. Please hit the subscribe button if it's information you're interested in. We'd always appreciate it. Again, this was the ZAR ZF-5 by Inflatable Boat Pro. I'm Jeff Rogers. Check us out for the next one. Thanks.